Today, let's talk some Japanese whiskey. I have three different Japanese whiskeys that I wanted to compare. I have the Yamazaki 12, I have Miyagiko single malt, and I have Nika whiskey Takatsuro pure malt. Just kind of exploring Japanese whiskeys, don't know a lot about them. All of these were provided by the Yorktown Whiskey Club, so it's great to be in a whiskey club because you get to have samples. And they provided them to me. They were like, "Hey, just do some videos." I didn't, so it's a great example of try before you buy. So Japanese whiskey is you can find it in the U.S., you can find it in New York, but they tend to be expensive. And I think maybe if you're thinking about getting into Japanese whiskey before you go out and drop, for example, like in New York, could be anywhere between $150 and $200 for the Yamazaki 12, 18 obviously even more expensive. Maybe it's good to watch some of these videos and try before you buy. So let's start off with the Yamazaki 12. 12 years old. It's got a great fruity aroma. I get, so what do I get? I get hints of pear, apple, maybe a little bit of like dried apricot, but really good. And it's funny because I've got a Redbreast 12 up here, but it sort of in some ways reminds me of an Irish whiskey. It's not smoky, it's not peaty. It's really, really nice. And then sort of in the back end of that aroma, I get some of that the typical what I would get in a lot of whiskeys, whether they're single malts or scotches, because they're made with 100% malted barley. I get that kind of roasted grain, that malty kind of aroma too. Overall, it's a great package. This comes in at 86 proof, so it's not anything that's really all that strong, but overall, it's lovely. Having said that, let's give it a taste. And it tastes lovely too. It's got a great balance between that sort of maltiness, that sort of sweet malty taste with the fruit. Again, a little bit maybe of the pear. Mostly I get pear and a little bit of maybe some dried. I mean, almost like just a hint of a little bit of like a dried fig. But overall, it's a delicious package. It's tasty. It's a smooth and easy drinker, and I can see why people like it. I'm curious to try the 18-year-old. All right, so now our second option today is Miyagiko single malt. And both the Miyagiko, by the way, and the Takatsuro, both from the same distillery, from Nika Whiskey. This one comes in at I forgot at 90 proof, a little bit higher. So compared to the Yamazaki, there is more of a Scotch-like aroma, and I think about like a Johnny Walker Blue kind of aroma. Man, that's a compliment, but a little bit less fruity, a little bit more. There's another note there. It's not minty, but maybe even a little bit of mint in there too. Just less fruity than the Yamazaki. And that tastes much more Scotch-like. To just give you a sort of to try to give you an image, the Miyagiko tastes more like a Scotch, where to me, to my palate, the Yamazaki tastes a little bit more like a Redbreast, like an Irish whiskey. So there's definitely a difference there. Both smooth, but not quite as smooth as, let's say, the Yamazaki. Now let's go over to the Takatsuro Pure Malt. This is the most Scotch-like, a little bit more of that. It's not so much smoky. And this almost has a little bit more of like almost like a licorice aroma. Also really good, but of the three of them, this most tastes like a Scotch, a little bit more of that like smoke peat kind of thing. I wonder if this is actually peated. It doesn't say. Gentle malty flavor, fruitiness, and extremely well-balanced taste. So it definitely has a gentle malty flavor, but maybe that's a good way to describe it. But of the three, by far and away, the Yamazaki 12 has the most gentle malty flavor of the three. I think they're all really good. So if you're watching this video and you're thinking you don't have any Japanese whiskey and you're thinking maybe you want to try it, then you go out and you look at the prices. The prices can be, these are, 80, 89, 90, maybe into the hundreds. And certainly the Yamazaki is over $100, and sometimes in my area close to 200. That's a lot to spend on a bottle, especially if you don't know anything about Japanese whiskey. So again, my strong suggestion here with any one of these is to try before you buy. If you can get a taste, maybe they're doing a tasting event in your local liquor store, or maybe go to a bar and give these a try, because I think that, as primarily, I'm still kind of, most of what I have behind me is bourbon. They're not the same. They don't have the, if you, nothing in my description is caramel or vanilla or anything like that. So they don't necessarily have that profile. They're great. And I'll tell you, for me, this is like such an awesome opportunity to kind of like expand my palate. And they're all good. And I'm really happy that I have them. Of the three of them, now here's the thing, big question. Would I drop $200 on this bottle? Personally, no. I think that it's good. It's interesting. I think if I got it, I'd probably have a pour, and it would wind up sitting. It's delicious. Don't get me wrong. If it was $60 a bottle, all day long, but I think that price would probably make me hesitate. Now, I got to go back to the Yorktown Whiskey Club and see if they have a bottle of the 18, because maybe some of those older expressions are something more special. I don't. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this is a negative review. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. Go out and try them for yourself, before you go buy them. But it's fun. Hopefully you have some comments for me. Make some recommendations for other Japanese whiskeys that I might, have a slightly different profile, or maybe a significantly different profile than these three. And I'd love to go out and maybe sample them and review them for you too. But again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy these videos. But again, what do I know? I'm just a regular guy sipping whiskey. Thanks for watching.